Hey, what's poppin' YouTube? Code Adventurers, welcome back to the Advent of Code 2023. Chris here. Last night, we conquered day 5, and I forgot to generate an intro with GPT. So, adventurers, are you ready to conquer another coding challenge? Let's make it happen. Day 6. Wait for it. The ferry quickly brings you across island. After asking around, you discover that there is indeed normally a large pile of sand somewhere near here, but you don't see anything beside lots of water in the small island where the ferry has docked. As you try to figure out what to do next, you notice a poster on a wall near the ferry dock. Boat races. Open to the public. Grand prize is an all-expense paid trip to Desert Island. That must be where the sand comes from. Best of all, the boat races are starting in just a few minutes. You managed to sign up as a competitor in the boat race just in time. The organizer explains that it's not really a traditional race. Instead, you will get a fixed amount of time during which your boat has to travel as far as it can. And you win if your boat gets the farthest. As part of signing up, you get a sheet of paper, your puzzle input that lists the time allowed for each race and also the best distance ever recorded in that race. To guarantee you win the grand prize, you need to make sure you go farther in each race than the current record holder. The organizer brings you over to the area where the boat races are held. The boats are much smaller than you expected. They're actually toy boats, each with a big button on top. Holding down the button charges the boat, and releasing the button allows the boat to move. Boats move faster if their button was held longer, but time spent holding the button counts against the total race time. You can only hold the button at the start of the race, and boats don't move until the button is released. Okay, we can only hold the button at the start, and boats don't move until the button is released. This document describes 3 races. The first race lasts 7 milliseconds. The recorded distance in the race is 9 millimeters. The second race lasts 15 milliseconds. The recorded distance in this race is 40 millimeters. The third race lasts 30 milliseconds. The record distance in this race is 200 millimeters. Your toy boat has a starting speed of 0 millimeters per millisecond. For each whole millisecond you spend at the beginning of the race holding down the button, the boat increases by 1 millimeter per second. So because the first race lasted 7 milliseconds, you only have a few options. Don't hold the button at all. That is, hold it for 0 milliseconds at the start of the race. The boat won't move. It'll have traveled 0 millimeters. So that's one hint. We always must hold the button. Hold the button for 1 millisecond at the start of the race. Then the boat will travel at a speed of 1 millimeter per millisecond for 6 milliseconds, reaching a total distance traveled of 6 millimeters. Hold the button for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so I see. Because we held it for 7 milliseconds at the very end, we went 0. Because we held it for 6, we went 1 millisecond at 6 millimeters a second. Because we held it for 5, that's 10, 4 is 12, 3 is 12, 2 is 10, 1, 6, 10, 10, 6, 0. Oh, sorry, 0, 6, 10, 12, 12, 10, 6, 0. Okay, that kind of creates a pyramid. Since the current record for this race is 9 millimeters, there are actually 4 different ways. You can hold the button for 2, 3, 4, 5. In the second race, you can hold the button for at least 4, and at most 11. A total of 8 different ways to win. In the third race, you could hold the button for at least 11 and no more than 19 and still beat the record. To see how much margin of error you have, determine the number of ways you can beat the record in each race. In this example, if you multiply these values together, you get 288. So 4, 8, and 9. Total number of ways you can beat the record in each race. In the example, you multiply the values. Gotcha. Okay. So reading these sets of values. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of pre-parsing. Okay. So this is our test input. So we're going to go ahead and plug that into test, and we know our value is 288. Now, in this case, we might find some value in individual testing, but I'm not going to worry about that, at least at the moment. All right, so that's done. And then here's how we're going to think about this problem. We have to go through every iteration because we need to know how many times we would win. And then so 4 is for the first set, 8 is for the second, 9 is for the last. Given some total length of second, we have to determine what the total amount is. But do we really have to go through each iteration? Because I feel like there's probably a mathematical equation. Let's look at our puzzle input real quick. Okay, our puzzle input isn't terrible. 40, 70, 98, 79. It's not that many records, honestly. We actually could just create some structures with this data as opposed to parsing it, but I think parsing it's simple enough. So we'll just go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do, just to make things easier on myself, I did this last time. Var regexp dot must compile, and what we're going to do is we're going to look for /s plus, so basically all the spaces, and then we're going to do on our input, we're just going to replace all of that. Space re dot replace all string. Yeah, we're going to replace all, and our source is our input, and then our replace is just a single space. So what that'll do is it'll just get rid of this extra like padding here. We don't really need that. And then we're going to do one other thing. We're going to split this, and we're going to say, instead of ranging, we're going to strings.splits. We'll say lines, and then we'll just simply, we only have 2 lines. And so we're going to say lines sub 0 strings.split, and we're gonna have to split this at the colon space sub 1, and then we're gonna do strings.split that, and we're gonna split that on a space. And this is going to be our, was the first, we'll call it times, and then same thing for distance is, and then we're just gonna yeah. So if we run this, okay, come on, VS Code. Yeah, so, no, that's unfortunate. Yeah, there we go. So, S equals, okay. All right, struggling already. Let's figure this out. Time, distance. Oh, well, what in the world? Oh, geez, Chris. Oh, that's right. Right? Okay. Oh. Yeah, so we should have our time and then, okay. That took way too long to parse. I've been going on 4 hours of sleep. I'm pretty tired right now. So we know that we can iterate through each. So we need to for I, and we'll say time or t, range of times. Yeah, so what we can do is we can say for, I really wish this is the downside of Go, because I have these slices set up and they are all strings and I need ints and we have to string convert them. So dot a to I, and what we want is t and distances sub I. Okay. So I think we need that done. Let's see here. Okay, so for what we want to do now is we know how much time is our maximum. So we're going to say for j equals 0, j is less than or equal to ts, j plus plus. Okay, so less than or equal to t. Okay. So we can calculate what the score is going to be, right? It's going to be for z, assuming j is going to be the whole time. So whole time. We can do it like that. So it will be if whole time times whole time minus t, right? Because that's our time left. So it'll be initially it'll be 0 times in this, if we use the first example, 7, which is 0. Okay. It really should be t minus whole time. So if whole time is 7 and 7 is your time minus, then that's also going to be 0. I mean, I guess technically we could remove those two iterations. Yeah, let's do that. So this will always start at 1 and it'll be less than that, because if we're either at the two bounds, we're not going to. So if this is greater than distance, then we are going to set our score to times equal count is 0, count plus plus. So we're supposed to count the number of times, and at the end times equal our count, right? And then I think this is that. Okay. So this should work in theory. So what we're doing is we're looping through and we're going everything from hold time of 1 to the whole time of the max time, and we're seeing how many times we're going to this. Now, theoretically, we could only probably go half as far and then double it, but I'm not going to really worry about that optimization out of the gate. So we test txt is here. Those are correct. Actual is 0. Part 1. Return score. Why am I getting 0? Here, it's a good opportunity to debug. So we're going to debug. Let's see here. Hold time is 1, our t is 7, and our distance is 9. Right? T is 7, distance 9. Okay. That's good. So hold time of 1 times 7 minus 1, which is 6. So that is 6. Hold time of 2. 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Count is incremented. The initial score of 0 was throwing it off. Okay, cool. So if we get our input and put it into our text file, should be part 1. All right, awesome. That's done. Part 2. As the race is about to start, you realize the piece of paper with race times, our record distances you got earlier, actually just have very bad kerning. There's really only one race. Ignore the space between the numbers on each line. So the example from before now instead means this. Now you have to figure out how many ways there are to win this single race. In this example, the race lasts 4. And the record distance to beat is, you could hold the button anywhere from 14 to, okay. Is this the same example data? 39, 40, 20. Yeah, okay. So and the test data is that. And so part 2 will be similar to part 1. The difference is that will join them all together. Same thing for D. And so now we don't need this or this. We don't need we do need that. We do need that. All right, let's run it. Part 2, done. And then part 2. Puzzle input's the same for part 2. There we go. And we're all done. All right, well, that was a pretty easy one. Had a little bit of a goof up on the parsing in the beginning, but it just is what it is. So, well, thanks for tuning in. This was a short one for tonight, which is great because I'm ready for some sleep. As always, Code Adventurers, if you gained something from this video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Over and out.